Nithyanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
We welcome all the Sri Mahants, Kotaris, Tanedars, Balasans, visitors, viewers, disciples, devotees, Samajis and Satsangis for this Vaakyaartha Sadhas connected by Balasans of Nithyananda Gurukul. The topic for today's Vaakyaartha Sadhas is having the right context. Now we will be chanting the 10th verse of Ishavasya Upanishad.
अन्यदेवाहुर्विद्ययान्यदा आहुरविद्यया इति शुश्रमधीरा नान्येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे.
I have a question. Can you tell me how do we know whether the context which we set is right or wrong?
What I feel is like when you when you have this when you're in the space of completion and when you decide from the powerful space, you will decide something what you want to achieve. So what I feel is when you're in the space of completion and decide something through powerfulness, that will be the right context for you.
Just adding the point, what I feel is like the context which expands you and context which makes you say yes to life, and the context which like any situation in life make you say yes to life and does not make you say no to life. Like how somebody gives the example, the boiling water, like if the egg is dropped in, it becomes hard. In the same boiling water, if the potato is dropped in, it becomes soft. So same way, any situation in life, if life gives you any situation, if you have a right context, you will become more hard, you will become more powerful, and you will say more yeses to life. But if like the potato, like any situation comes to life, you really get more and more powerless, you get more and more depressed, you'll have more and more incompletions. So what I feel is like only if you have a right context, then only you'll be able to say yes to life and not no to life.
Know whether the context which you set for something is right or wrong just by knowing whether the context which you set makes the action which you do more and more expansive. Like if you're doing yoga, the context which you set for that is to get a yogic body and to be able to receive all the powers that Swamiji will give to us, instead of having the context of like proving to others whatever you know in yoga. Because when you prove to others, you will only do what you already know, and when you only do what you already know, you won't be open to any new possibility of yoga happening to you. So you won't be learning any new asana, you won't be doing anything new, you'll only be doing what you already know. So whenever you're with the wrong context, the action which you do never expands you, because the context itself is more important than any of the actions which you make. So if you just set the right context for anything, whatever you do will always expand you.
If we set the right context for doing yoga and if we set the wrong context for doing yoga and we do yoga, still our body will be getting healthier, right?
See, what I feel is like even if you do yoga wrong context, yes, it will like make a body more healthy and yogic. But like there'll be few situations when you start proving and immediately like few bad things will happen. Like from my own experience, when I used to prove it yoga, I just used to hit some of my friends and then come and say, why are you doing this? Be more aware. Then from there I understand that no, this is not the right context, it's not the right way to do yoga. You must do it with your right context to just get a yogic body and not to prove. So like from this experience what I learned is even if you do the things are wrong context, yes, your body will get healthy and yogic, but the wrong context itself will, the space you're carrying itself will attract situations which will make you understand that doing yoga wrong context, it is not right, and only doing yoga right context is right.
What I think is, like what he said, even though you might do yoga and it might make you healthier and whatever, it won't expand you. The reason why you're doing the yoga for won't be for an expansive reason. So what I think, when you set the right context and do it, the yoga you're doing itself will expand you.
What I feel is when you don't have the right context, you'll start having vested interest. Even if you have the wrong context, at beginning you'll start doing yoga properly, but that vested interest will give space and place for laziness and boredom to enter into your space, after which you'll start being lazy to do yoga only whenever someone is coming and saying you'll do yoga, which will destroy your body and you'll not have a yogic body.
Just adding a point, what I also understand is that when you have the wrong context, you might do it and your body might get healthier. But soon life will give you a situation where life will make you understand the wrong context and make you get the right context and transform. So ultimately you will get the right context. So it's better to start off with the right context. So as your cognition gets more and more mature, your context will also get more and more mature.
What do you mean by right context?
What I feel as right context is you having the context for each action, which will help you in constantly reinventing yourself, and which will even enrich others and will not give a space for vested interest or laziness and boredom to enter your inner space.
What I feel is like every action has a reason behind it. Like whatever you do has a reason. Like now I'm picking up this mic and answering your question. So even that has a reason to enrich you and to make and to bring a better understanding to you. So even this action, when I have a right context towards it, I can easily enrich you and make you understand what is the meaning of having a right context. So whenever you set a right context, whatever action you do, you'll be clear with it and it'll always be authentic.
Is adding this point, like how Ajara Maharaj told, like every action has a reason behind it. So same like every action when it has the right context behind it, it has the right reason behind it. It always reminds you that you are the consciousness, you are Mahadeva. Like how the Upanishads declare you as the consciousness, never like you have zero wounds. So just like that, you get constantly getting reminded and reinventing yourself, aligning back yourself to that context is what I feel is the right context for every action.
Want to add to his point, and even if you are in the wrong context, life will give you such situations that it will put you on right context.
And like how in Gurukul we set the right context in front of the whole group before doing any action, before doing completion we set the right context, before discussing about satsang messages we set the right context. So by this we don't have vested interest for doing things, and we will not have laziness or boredom for doing things.
Just want to add this point. So like how in Gurukul for every action, even for eating, even for starting the class, even for like all the things you have a context. You start with a prayer and you declare something that you should follow through the class. Like how before starting a class we declare that we listen to the teachers and in perfect completion the student and the teacher. And after the class we like ended that like this and this, like this will go into this and we are the consciousness. So like before eating we declare that the food will go to the supreme and we are the supreme. So for everything we have a context behind it. For everything we have the right context to remind us that we are the consciousness and we are the source of everything. We are Mahadeva. So when we set the right context for everything, like what I understand the right context is a context which keep on reminding that you are the favorite inheritor of the cosmos. So that's what I feel like there is a right context, and for every action you must set the right context.
Want to share an experience? Actually on Sunday I had to go for the temple team, and on that day Swamiji was about to give a webinar on the deeper secrets of Shiva. So like I felt sad and told, oh no, we have to miss the webinar. Then one of my friend reminded me of the context and told that you going and seeing satsang is your vested interest, but you going and taking care of the temple there is Swamiji's own interest. So by being in Gurukul, we are always put into the right context.
Like how is it? Like in Gurukul, like even if you have a Western interest for anything, the satsanga which we have in Gurukul, the space of Gurukul always puts us back on the right context, always reminds us of the right context. Every time we do something wrong, we are catched and we are reminded that we are Mahadeva, and because we are Mahadeva, Mahadeva always enriches. So that's why we must be in Gurukul or near a good satsanga, because every time we have a Western interest, we always put back on the right context.
Just adding to this point, why I feel that we should be in Gurukul is like Gurukul keeps reminding us about the right context as what Swamiji wants us to live as. Like when we keep aligning in each and every action from morning till like from the time we wake up till the time we sleep, everything is every action has a context and a reason behind it. So when we know what is the right reason to do that, we are aligned. We are continuously aligning to the context which Swamiji wants us to live. That is why I feel Gurukul is the best place to live from the right context.
I have a question. How will attending IA for kids will help us the setting the right context?
What I feel is by attending the IA for Kids program, there will be lots of workshops all which will make you complete with your vested interest, laziness and boredom, and um, when you are complete with this, even you will have the third eye awakening meditation. When your third eye is awakened, Swami told that you'll perceive the world as a dream and you'll start perceiving the reality, and from the reality you'll set the right context for all your actions. So what I feel is attending IA for kids will help you in setting a authentic context for your life.
Just adding a point, what I also feel is, especially now the coming July IA for kids in Varanasi, Swamiji said Varanasi is the third eye of Mahadeva himself. And Swamiji also said, when the third eye is awakened, we make all the right decisions in our life. So when our third eye is awakened, then obviously all the right decisions in the right context will start being made by us. And so all the and so we'll discover our consciousness because our cognition will just get more and more mature.
What I think is when we do the IA for kids, we gain a deeper understanding in all the truths Swamiji speaks about in satsang. So when we gain that deeper understanding, what I think is whenever we set the context, it'll be from a right space and it'll always expand you.
Just want to add to a point. Like when I went for a last comfort inner awakening for kids, like the first thing the conductor of the inner awakening for kids started is only one thing: listening. Before anything starting, listen. Always be in the space of listening. So what I understand from this is, like when you be in the space of listening, you're always setting the right context. You always listen to life. You're always in the space of Shivaham. So that's when you bring your body to such a peace to let the space of Swamiji and Mahadev enter you. So that's when whatever decisions you make, you'll only be on the right context and you'll only make others expand and you also expand. So what I understand is, like when you attend the inner awakening for kids, like all the workshop, all the space, all the kids which are there, even the conductor carries such a good space. Especially when Swamiji is there, any alteration which needs to happen in our DNA, it just get altered and it just come back to the space of Mahadeva.
Why should we attend IA when our third is already awakened in NDY or NKY?
What I feel is all this NDY, NKY, your third eye will be awakened and you will have a glimpse of it. But once you attend IA, that will be a permanent awakening in you. You will have a glimpse in NDY and NKY. But when you attend the IA for kids or inner awakening, you will have the permanent thing in you. Like as Swamiji said, the Shriyantra lines will be just programmed in your DNA. So when it's just programmed, you know how to take right decisions in your life and how to set a right context and how to be complete with each situation. Instead of just getting incomplete or powerless with each situation, you will know how to stand up and look after the situation powerfully. So what I feel is all this NDY, NKY can give you a glimpse of the third eye. But when you attend the IA for kids or the IA program, you will achieve the space of Shivaham, which will be permanent in you.
Like when the Ananda Yoga was going on, like the conductor of the yogas like asked the whole group, why is so long time for like this yoga session and for this Ananda Yoga? Then like no one answered. Then she answered that because if you just like do for a few days, like it'll just be like some experience in you, or after some time you'll just leave you. But like if you stay for a long time, like that will become a permanent experience in you. So same like that, when you just do this NDY and NKY, you'll just get a glimpse of it. Like the experience might be there in you like for a few days. But when you go to inner awakening, it will be just like a permanent experience in you. Anytime you want, you can just take a glimpse of it and step back. Like but when you're in the NDY and NKY, that time you get a glimpse. After that, if you want to like just step in, you're not stepping in. But when you do the inner awakening, 21 days are there for the experience to be permanently installed in you, and for you to just experience the space whenever you want.
What I feel is like how one Swami told, just doing NDY or NKY is like you yourself making a coffee in your tension for office. You'll just boil some milk in that, half of it will overflow, and you'll just take it and pour little bit of coffee powder, and in the tension of office you'll just go drink it. But attending IA is like sitting like having a 60 to 50 varieties of coffee, and listening to the pleasant music, and like that. IA is when you do IA, even before the third eye awakening, you complete with your SDHD patterns, so that when you enter into the third eye awakening process, you will have confidence on you, and you will be able to do third eye awakening, after which you will have the Shivoham process, which will just permanently make your third eye be awakened.
Just adding a point, what I also feel in IA will be in Swamiji's presence for 21 days. So we'll be in the presence of an enlightened being for 21 days. So our neurons will get mirrored, and then we'll start, and whatever the truths which Swamiji teaches us, it'll go to our biomemory, so we'll start living them in our life. So what I feel is IA is much more powerful than just an NKY or something, because it just goes into your biomemory, and all the decisions you make will be from that.
See, what I understand is like in the NDY and NKY, like these you will just experience them for some time. But in the inner awakening, not only the experiences with these, but that will also become your part of your life. That will also become one of your major part of your life. So whenever you want, you can just experience these and like make them help you in your life. Like, so what I understand from this is inner awakening makes you like installs the siddhis in you. In NDY and NKY, like you just experience these for a while. So that's what I understand.
What I feel is in an NDY or NKY, it'll only be for a 2-day program. So you'll only be with Swamiji for 2 days, and the experience will be very less for you. Even though the third eye is awakened, the experience which you gain will be a little less, because the more time you spend with enlightened master, the more the experience gets transferred to you. So the more time you spend in the inner awakening, that time more of the experience and more Shivoham will happen to you, and your third eye will be awakened permanently. So the experience will stay permanently in you when you attend an inner awakening. And also there's not any like context for attending inner awakening. You can't just think because my third eye is already awakened, I can't go to inner awakening. Or if you think I'm already complete, so I don't need an inner awakening. Inner awakening is for just for the sake of doing an inner awakening, just for enjoying the space near Swamiji. So inner awakening can't just have a context like you already have this completion, third eye awakened and Kundalini awakened. Just because of that, you can't just stop going to inner awakening. Every time the inner awakening will be unique, and you'll always be experiencing something new in the inner awakening. So you can never justify that you don't need an inner awakening. Always the inner awakening will be new, and it will always be only for you.
Having a question, when we have a right context, will it help us to say yes to life?
What I feel is when you don't have the right context, when you are having the wrong context, you will be constantly having vested interest about the life, and when you are having vested interest, you will be telling no for the life. But when you have right context, you will be constantly reinventing yourself, which is saying yes to life.
Because when you have the right context, it'll constantly expand you and help you reach your goal easier in an easier way. So what I think is, because it expands you, you'll automatically say yes to life when you have the right context, because it'll always, when you have the right context, you'll always act from the complete space, which will always make you say yes to life.
When you set the right context for everything, like you'll be, because what I understand is right context is a context that reminds you that you're a source of everything and you are the consciousness. So saying like that, when you when it reminds you that you are Mahadeva, you always say yes to life, and that also creates a good space in you, a right inner space in you. Because when you say yes to life, automatically your inner space will always be positive, and anyone who comes in your breathing space will also get the experience of the space which you are having. But when you always say no to life, when you always set the wrong context for everything, like you always say no to life, and that space which you will be carrying will always attract wrong that kind of people only with the wrong space, and to get it you all say no to life, and then one day life will give you such a situation that you'll think that life is making you suffer, and you'll not take the situation from the right context, because your whole life you always say no to life, you're always setting the wrong context. That's why you think that like you're suffering, and you're going through depression, you're going to powerlessness, and eventually one day you say no to life, and you literally say no to life, and you go do something which is very bad. So like what I understand from this is, when you always say yes to life, you always create right space, and you're Mahadeva.
When you don't have right context, you'll the laziness will settle into your inner space, and you will start cognizing everything and anything from laziness, and it will become your root pattern. And laziness, what I feel is, laziness is also a form of self-denial, and when you start denying yourself, naturally even you will start denying the life around you, which is saying no to the life. But when you are having the right context, you will feel the Advaita with the life, and you will not have any conflict, and you will start having Advaita, and you will start loving the life, because of which you will be constantly reinventing yourself.
How can you bring the right context in every action?
What I feel is, by you constantly having listening to yourself and to the life itself will tell you the right context for it. Like how when Svetaketu started listening to the whole life, the life itself, the nature itself started telling him what is consciousness, and because of which he realized what is consciousness. So what I feel is, by having a tremendous listening to yourself and to life, you'll start having the right context for life.
How you can set the right context before you do anything is basically, before you do anything, complete with yourself, and be in complete completion before you decide to do anything. Like what Swamiji said that day in satsang, like basically before you do anything, be complete with yourself and with everyone around you. What I think is, when you decide from that space, whatever you decide will be from the right context.
What I feel is, like, always when you're seeking in life, always whenever you're seeking, you'll be always remembering the right context for whatever you do. Whenever you're always aligned to the purpose of your life, every single action you'll be remembering to align all your four identities to one. Whatever you want to become in your life, the purpose of your life, you'll be always aligning everything to that one purpose of your life. So if you just keep on seeking and you just don't let that seeking move away from you, when you just keep on having the seeking towards life, you'll be always remembering the context in whatever action you do.
What I also feel is, we can bring the right context in our day-to-day actions by just bringing in awareness and deciding before every action. So when we bring in awareness with everything we do, before we start doing anything, we'll know the right context, and once we set the context, all the actions we do will be aligned to that. So once our actions are aligned, we'll discover our consciousness.
Just adding the point, whatever is like always being the present moment will always remind you of the right context. Like basically all of your the source of all of your wrong context is like because you're jumping from the past to the future, never in the present. So when you stop jumping from the past to the present and the present to the past, so when you stop jumping from the past to the future and the future to the past, your TPS reduces and you start being in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you remember that you are Nithyananda, that you are Swamiji, and that's when you discover your consciousness. And what I understand is, like, every time we, like, the best way to remember that we are Mahadeva, to set the right context, everything is like applying the bhasma every time before anything we do, applying the vibhuti makes us remember that we are Mahadeva and makes us always say yes to life and set the right context for everything.
With this, we come to the conclusion of today's Vaakyaartha. We will continue to expand the truths which Swamiji reveals in the further satsangs. Now we'll be concluding with the Purna Mantra.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sadguru Padukarpanamastu Om Nithyanandam